the polar vortex is something that always is an area of sort of colder air that exists near the pole or in the Arctic regions, if we're talking about the northern hemisphere. During the summer, it retreats fairly far north towards the North Pole. And then as we head into the fall, and then especially the winter months, that can sometimes sag farther south. And then different times throughout the winter, you can get times where parts of that polar vortex can sort of break off and move into other parts of the northern hemisphere, North America, Europe, Asia. In this case that we're experiencing here in the last couple days across the United States and into the next few days, really throughout the entire rest of the week, sort of a small section is sort of being stretched and pulled into the United States. And we're just getting a lot of cold Canadian and Arctic air that's being just channeled from north to south. The weather pattern is such where that's just a persistent flow of air from the northwest to the southeast. And we're really just dragging that Arctic air southward for an extended period of time. We don't expect a lot of records to be broken with this Arctic outbreak. We really expect this to be more of a prolonged stretch of well below historical average temperatures. We're talking about 12 to 25 degrees below historical average across a large portion of the eastern half of the country. And I think the really impactful point here is the fact that a lot of places that received all of the ice here, I don't have a graphic on that actually from the last couple of days, but a lot of the areas that received the ice, Missouri, Tennessee, Kentucky, West Virginia, those places aren't going to get above freezing until this coming weekend. So you have about 5 days or so or more of below freezing temperatures, and that means the ice and snow will not melt. And some of these areas are just not used to dealing with a lot of snow and ice, and that can cause problems, especially with places that have lost power and don't have heat for the next several days. It's important to keep in mind that this is a small part of the whole climate, that a couple of weeks of weather in a small part of the northern hemisphere is really a result of weather, where the climate we're looking at all of the northern hemisphere or all of the world, and we're looking at that over seasons and years and decades, and those are very different timescales. So climate change does not mean that we will expect to see no more cold weather. It just means that the average temperature overall is going up, and we will still expect to see colder shots, and even record temperatures can occur. But there's been way more heat records set than cold records in parts of the U.S. in the last several years.